Welcome to the History of the Bible. Episode 99, The History of Jerusalem. In the last episode, we talked about an event that happened during the conquering of the Promised Land, about a king who was conquered and had the same punishment put on him as he placed on 70 other kings he conquered, the cutting off of the thumbs and big toes. Moving forward, we're going to talk about another event that may or may not have happened. This would be concerning the city of Jerusalem. In Judges 1 verse 8 it says, "The men of Judah took the city of Jerusalem." One would think that was enough to say the Israelites captured the city of Jerusalem and lived in it. However, it isn't as easy as that. First, the city was not within the land given to the tribe of Judah. It belonged to the tribe of Benjamin. So why was the tribe of Judah taking it? The other thing, the tribe of Judah, did they take it? Throughout the Bible, the city of Jerusalem is mentioned in different places. The first time the city of Jerusalem is mentioned is thought to be during the life of Abraham. Going into the history of the city of Jerusalem, in Genesis 14, when Abraham, who is called Abram at this time, defeated the kings and rescued his nephew Lot, he returned from the battle and was met by a king named Melchizedek. Melchizedek was the king of the city of Salem. The city of Salem is based on the reading of Psalm 76 verse 2, which says, "His tent is in Salem." The city of Salem is based on the reading of Psalm 76 verse 2, which says, "His tent is in Salem, his dwelling place in Zion." Salem is believed to be a shorthand name for Jerusalem, as Zion is mentioned throughout the Bible to be the city of Jerusalem, indicating them to be the same city. For a second, let's look at the king of Salem, Melchizedek. First off, he was the king of the city of Salem. From records, the city itself was only a city-state during the time of Abraham. Records have been found to show that the city of Jerusalem was already settled during the time of Abraham when he was in the land of Canaan. These records come from Egyptian texts that were written to indicate curses that had been cast on cities within the land of Canaan. And one of these cities was the city of Jerusalem. However, the Egyptians didn't call it Jerusalem, and even during Abraham's time, it was only called Salem. But the Egyptians called it Rashalem. These written records date back to the time of 2000 to 1800 BC. What's interesting during this time, the city itself was very small, believed to only have 500 inhabitants. Although that would exclude the surrounding villages. For the archaeological evidence, the city is believed to have its first houses built around 2500 BC. The city would construct its first walls around 1800 BC or so. It is believed by some scholars it was during this time Abraham was in the land of Canaan, during the era when the walls were built around Jerusalem. Some scholars believe Melchizedek was the first ruler or king of the city. The name Melchizedek means righteousness, and the city was named at that time Salem, which means peace. This would mean he was the king of righteousness ruling in the city of peace. The man himself is from the line of Canaan. However, what comes up often with Melchizedek is him being a priest. In Genesis 14 verse 18, it says he was the priest of God Most High. And from his spoils, from the battle, Abraham gave the king a tenth of everything. In the book of Hebrews, chapter 7, the author makes the point that Melchizedek was a priestly king, much like David was a king who was very involved in creating the worship of God during his time. In a sense, he was a priestly king too. Later on in the book of Hebrews, it would point to Melchizedek as portraying Christ as the ultimate priestly king. As for the city itself, it was located atop a ridge that spanned about 12 to 15 acres of land, and it surrounded a spring that was later named Gihon Spring. This spring would be the water supply for the city. After the encounter of Abraham and Melchizedek, it is believed the city itself came under the control of the Canaanites, more specifically, a tribe known as the Jebusites. During this time, the city's name was called Jebus. As time continued, the city, as much would of the land of Canaan, would come under the authority of the Egyptians. However, the Jebusites would continue to live in the city. The next time the city, which we will call Jerusalem to keep things straight, is mentioned is during Joshua's time. At least the king of Jerusalem is. In Joshua 10, it talks about the battle that happens between the Israelites and those in the southern campaign. One of the main kings in the battle against the Israelites is the king of Jerusalem. It was right after Joshua had made a peace treaty with the Gibeonites, who Joshua believed to be outside of the land of Canaan, but he was tricked. When Joshua found out that the Gibeonites lived within the land of Canaan, he forced them into forced labor. However, when the peace treaty was made between the Israelites and the Gibeonites, the king of Jerusalem feared being conquered. In Joshua 10 verse 2, it says, he feared because the city of Gibeon had men who were warriors. Therefore, the king of Jerusalem got together with all the surrounding city-states' kings to attack the Gibeonites. This would bring about the battle where the sign was prayed for by Joshua, a sign to be done with the sun. The Israelites routed the 5 kings and their armies who gathered together. Eventually, Joshua would execute all of the kings after the battle. This would include the king of Jerusalem. The southern campaign would conclude, and it is in Joshua 10 verse 42, and Joshua captured all of these kings and their land at one time, because the Lord God of Israel fought for Israel. Later on in the list of kings conquered by Joshua, Joshua defeated the king of Jerusalem. What comes up in the division of land between the Israelites in Joshua 15 verse 63, but Judah could not dislodge the Jebusites who were living in Jerusalem. To this day, the Jebusites live there with the people of Judah. So it makes it seem that Joshua and the Israelites conquered the city of Jerusalem. However, the tribe of Judah was not able to take the city. What brings about another question is in Joshua 18 verse 28, where it is seen that the city of Jerusalem was originally given to the tribe of Benjamin as their inheritance. The boundary between the tribe of Benjamin and the tribe of Judah was along the southern slope of the city of Jerusalem, as it says in Joshua 18 verse 16. Therefore, at least we can now understand why the city was fought for by both the tribe of Judah and the tribe of Benjamin. It was a city along the boundary of these two tribes. So we have the book of Joshua saying Joshua conquered the city of Jerusalem. It was an inheritance for the tribe of Benjamin, and it was not able to be taken by the tribe of Judah. That's confusing alone. Let's look at the book of Judges. In Judges, we see that the city is conquered again by one tribe, yet another tribe doesn't conquer it. However, it doesn't talk about Joshua whatsoever. Rather, in Judges 1 verse 8, it says, the men of Judah attacked Jerusalem also and took it. However, it says in Judges 1 verse 21, the tribe of Benjamin did not drive out the Jebusites, who were living in Jerusalem. To this day, the Jebusites lived there with the Benjaminites. What's even more confusing, it says in Judges 1 verse 8 that the men of Judah burned the city down when they took the city. However, in the last episode, we talked about Adoni-Bezek, the guy who cut 70 kings' thumbs and big toes off. Well, when the tribe of Judah defeated him, it says in Judges 1 verse 7 that they brought Adoni-Bezek back to Jerusalem, where he eventually died. What does all of this mean? Who took the city, if anyone? There are a set of letters that have been discovered called the Amarna letters. From the letters, it has been found messages of pleas from kings of city-states in the land of Canaan written to the king of Egypt. Canaan, at the time of Israel's coming into the Promised Land, was under the dominion of the Egyptian Empire. However, Egypt could not support those city-states in the land of Canaan due to its own struggles internally and externally from other superpowers. In these letters, the king of Jerusalem reaches out to the king of Egypt asking for help in fighting the invaders. The invaders are believed to be the Israelites. However, they are often referred to in ancient records as the Hebrews during this time and not the Israelites. The king of Jerusalem states in one letter, "The land of Egypt's king is lost. I am situated like a ship amid the sea. They have taken the very cities. Not a single city-state king remains to the king, my lord. All are lost." Another letter from a nearby city-state to Egypt states that the invaders are stronger than we. May the king, my lord, give me his help, and may the king, my lord, get me away from the invaders, lest the invaders destroy us all. All around the king of Jerusalem, the letters indicate that the land had been lost to the Israelites. This lines up with what is said in Joshua 10 verse 42, where the king was conquered and the land was. But it doesn't mention the city being taken. The man who took rule over Jerusalem after Joshua killed the king was sending letters to Egypt for help. The land around them was taken by the Israelites. Only the city remained. This explains the situation of Joshua conquering the king and taking the land around Jerusalem, not the actual city itself. Now, to look at who conquered the city of Jerusalem and why we have different accounts of two tribes when it comes to the city. The city of Jerusalem is on the border between the two tribes, Benjamin and Judah. So the tribe of Benjamin never took the city of Jerusalem, although the city was located in their inheritance. One thought that has been suggested when it talks about the tribe of Judah taking the city of Jerusalem, it is talking about when David, as the king of Israel, would conquer the city. King David is a part of the tribe of Judah. However, that would mean parts of the book of Judges were updated at a later time. However, there may be another explanation for what happened. During the times of Joshua and the Judges, the city was not all that large. In reality, it's believed to have been a very small city, about 12 to 15 acres. Today, we think of the three mounts all in the city. The mount where the walls of the cities are located, the Mount of Olives, and the mount on which the temple was going to be built. However, during the time of Judges, the city was only on the southern mount, known as the city. There is believed to have been a citadel in the northern portion of that city. What does this mean? The tribe of Benjamin was never able to drive out the inhabitants of the city. The tribe of Judah was able to do so. However, it may not have been the whole city. In ancient times, cities would often have walls that went around the whole city. Then within, there would be another walled area. The secondary walled area would be called the citadel. It's been thought by some scholars that the tribe of Judah attacked the city of Jerusalem and conquered the city. However, they were not able to conquer the citadel within the city. This is why Judges 1 verse 8, it says that the tribe of Judah took the city and burned it with fire. This is seen where walls have been found in archaeological digs that have burn marks. However, because they were not able to take the citadel, the inhabitants, called the Jebusites still, remained in the area. This would suggest that the tribe of Judah would not have a very secure hold on the city, and why the city itself was again conquered by King David hundreds of years later. What about Judges 1 verse 7, where it says the tribe of Judah brought back the captured king, who they cut the thumbs and big toes off of, to the city of Jerusalem? This could have been a campaign by the tribe of Judah. They defeated the king, cut off his thumbs and big toes, and then brought him along with them on their campaign as a captured king. While the tribe of Judah fought against the city of Jerusalem and eventually took it, it says in verse 8, the captured king died during this time. To help understand what is happening with the city, let's do a recap of what is going on. When Joshua came into the land to conquer it, he killed the king of Jerusalem and took the land around the city. However, it's believed he never took the city. The land was then divided up between the tribes. This left the tribe of Judah and the tribe of Benjamin sharing a border. Along that border was the city of Jerusalem. The tribe of Benjamin was never able to take the city. This left the inhabitants in the city. As for the tribe of Judah, they did conquer the city of Jerusalem. They even burned down the walls. However, it's believed to have an additional fortress within the city's walls. This was called the citadel. The tribe of Judah may have been on a campaign to conquer their land, and this is why Adoni-Bezek, the king who was captured and had his thumbs and big toes cut off, died in Jerusalem. Because when the armies went out to battle, they stayed out in the field marching from location to location. Because of this, they would bring all of their spoils of war and captives along with them. So during the battle with Jerusalem, Adoni-Bezek may have died in captivity. But the tribe of Judah never conquered the full city of Jerusalem, which led the inhabitants still living in the land. This would allow the inhabitants of Jerusalem, the Jebusites, to retake the city and rebuild it. Thus, the tribe of Judah did conquer and take the city, but not the whole city. And that is why they were not able to drive out the inhabitants either, even though it says in Judges 1 verse 8 that they did take the city and burned it as well. Confusing? Yes, it can be. Know this, in the end, the city was taken by the tribe of Judah, but then it was lost to the inhabitants of the city. The inhabitants would live in the city for hundreds of years until it was retaken again and for good by King David. As for the king of Jerusalem, at the time the tribe of Judah attacked the city, his correspondence with Egypt asking for help ended around the same time the city walls were burned. It is believed by some scholars the Jebusites and the king of Jerusalem would reconcile and make peace with the tribe of Judah and Benjamin, which allowed them to continue living in the city of Jerusalem. And it was because of battles like this, where the tribes could not or would not destroy the inhabitants of the land, that it would cause the Israelites to begin walking away from the Lord, and thus brings about the error of the judges. So join us next time in episode 100. Until next time, Remember that you are loved, special, and worthwhile.